Chester was settled by the Romans in the 1st century as a Roman fort. Originally defended by earth and wooden ramparts, the walls were built out in sandstone by the Romans. These walls were extended in the medieval period, with the circuit being completed in the 12th century. They remain the most complete set of city walls in the UK. We started this tour on the North Gate, one of 4 main gates to the city. This gate stands on the original Roman entrance to the city. This tower is reputed to have been the place where King Charles I watched his armies defeated at Wonton Moor in 1645, a decisive battle in the English Civil War, leading to the retreat of King Charles from Chester and the eventual surrender of the city to the parliamentarians. If you're enjoying this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Little remains of the church originally constructed on the site of Chester Cathedral in the 10th century, after it was razed to the ground in the late 11th century. It was rebuilt in the 11th century and expanded, and extensively rebuilt in the 13th and 14th centuries. Today, the church is predominantly Norman and early to late Gothic in construction. Eastgate was constructed in 1768, replacing the previous gate as the main entrance to the city. The wrought iron clock tower was erected later to celebrate the Diamond Jubilee of Queen Victoria in 1897. It was designed by architect John Douglas. Directly adjacent to the new gate is the Pepper Gate. This is the only surviving medieval gate in the walls of Chester. The road passing through this gate was only wide enough to fit 1 lane of traffic, and thus, in 1938, the new gate was completed to ease congestion in the city. The Roman amphitheatre was originally built in wood and subsequently rebuilt in stone. It was a 2-tiered structure which could accommodate between 8,000 and 10,000 people. This makes it the largest known military amphitheatre in the UK and shows the size and wealth of the Roman settlement. It is believed that the purpose of this amphitheatre was twofold: for weapons training and for hosting entertainment events. These included professional gladiators, wrestlers and acrobats.
But mankind won't be destroyed. The fact that you and I are working...
Constructed during the Roman period of Chester, the legionary baths stand between the amphitheatre and the new gate. They consist of 3 large bathing halls: the cold room, the warm room and the hot room. These were supplied with hot and cold running water. The Old Dee Bridge is a site of the original river crossing of the River Dee from Roman times. There has been a river crossing here since this time due to the favourable natural geography. Over Chester's history, the bridge has been swept away many times by flood tides. Today, it survives substantially the same after its reconstruction in 1387, but without a drawbridge, although it was widened in 1826. Chester Weir was originally constructed in 1093 to provide water for the medieval mills. These were demolished in the 20th century, and the weir was used to serve Chester's hydroelectric power station. The weir has a rare example of a weir gate, allowing passage at certain times. In the past, this stretch of river was known for salmon fishing. By the end of the 15th century, the bridge gate featured a single arch between 2 towers and had a large tower in the centre. The tower was destroyed during the English Civil War at the Siege of Chester and rebuilt in 1781. The site of Chester Castle originally held a Saxon fortress, of which no trace remains, as it was laid to waste during the Norman invasion of the north from 1069 to 1070. After the capture of Chester by the Normans, a timber motte and bailey castle was built here and was subsequently rebuilt in stone. It was further reinforced by Henry III and Edward I. The castle sustained serious damage during the English Civil War and fell into a state of disrepair by the 18th century. Much of the original castle walls were lost when the Shire Hall was built in 1801, which is now home to Chester Crown Court. Chester Racecourse occupies a site adjacent to the old Roman harbour. Regular races have been organised here since 1540. Interrupted only by the Civil War and Puritanism in the 17th century, the two World Wars, and flooding in the 20th century. The central location of the racecourse in the city makes it a popular entertainment event with many people attending the races, and bars and restaurants of the city on race day can become very busy. Past the racecourse, we find an area which was previously the port of Chester. In Roman times, the river ran all the way to the current site of the medieval walls. The port of Chester was of strategic importance, first to the Romans as a potential staging post for Ireland, and for subsequent English rulers for controlling North Wales. The deposition of silt over the centuries made the navigation of the Dee increasingly difficult. Chester's port began a slow decline in the 1400s. This has been blamed on the build-up of silt. The river did remain adjacent to the medieval walls in the 17th century. Deposition of silt over the centuries into the River Dee led to the construction of the water tower to maintain control of the river between 1322 and 1325. This led to the adaptation of Bone Walder's-Thorne Tower as a gatehouse to the water tower during this period. Bone Walder's-Thorne Tower originally sat at the edge of the river and served as part of the city's defences since 1249. Now known as Pemberton's Parlour, originally on this site stood a medieval drum tower called the Goblin Tower. It was extensively rebuilt in the 1700s and once again in 1894, where it gained its current appearance and name. We're about to finish this tour at the North Gate, where we started off. If you've made it this far, I'd like to say thank you for watching, and I hope you can support the channel.